Some good advice here from the Portuguese authorities. Don't drive too close to the cliff because you don't want to lose your car over this cliff. Hola amigo, buenos dias, or should I say bom dia. Coming to you today from a different location, coming to you from Portugal. I have got away for a few days and enjoying this Atlantic weather, which I must say is a lot cooler than it has been in Madrid, Spain recently. Around 22 degrees, I think, the maximum temperature here, and whereas Madrid was around 40 for the last 2 weeks. So a big change. And the reason this area is cool is because of that huge mass of water that we have in front of us, which is the Atlantic Ocean, of course, and that does keep the temperatures down in this part of Portugal. Like I said, it rarely gets above 23, 24 degrees Celsius in summer here. Now this is a business that used to thrive a couple of years ago, but as we can see, there's a sign there on the glass that says that they are closed because the local council or local government has shut them down. And basically the reason is that the rocks behind them were considered to be extremely dangerous, and there was a risk of those rocks crashing down on the restaurants and the clients in the restaurant, so they have shut this place down temporarily, apparently. But as we can see, and we'll just have a look there at those rocks, bit dangerous. Now I'm out and about today with my faithful companion Mia, as always. Got her off the leash and she's having a bit of a walk around. Have to be careful here because there is rubbish around, so we have to be careful that she doesn't pick anything up that she shouldn't be eating. We'll just get a view of the sun coming up over the Atlantic. As we can see, magnificent views in this part of Portugal. And Mia, of course, very happy with her new surroundings because, as I said before, it's cooler here. I mentioned in last week's walk around video that I was thinking of getting her clipped. Some people in the comment section said that that is not a good idea, and better to take your dog to a groomer and let them decide what needs to be done. And I think what I will get done is that I'll get her groomed, get her facial hair clipped, but the rest of the hair or fur, I think, will remain the same, because apparently dogs breathe through their paws, or at least that's what somebody mentioned in the comment section. So thank you very much for your input. But as I said, in this part of Portugal, the weather is cool most days. Some good advice here from the Portuguese authorities. Don't drive too close to the cliff because you don't want to lose your car over this cliff. And as we can see, there are fines of between €249.40 and 29,927 and 87 cents. Always surprised where they get the 40 cents and the 87 cents from. And that's where you would end up if you did drive your car over this cliff. But luckily, as we can see here, we've got this rope barrier, which will no doubt stop your car from going over the cliff. Now we're going to go for a walk along the coast here, a walk with the dog, and we'll have a bit of a chat about what's going on in Spain. Also what's going on here in Portugal, even though I haven't really had time to get my head around what is happening here yet. But fairly similar, I think, compared to Spain, what is going on here, because it's all about hot weather and fires. Now I've let the dog off the leash so she can have a bit of a run around, have a bit of a sniff, see what's going on, while we go for a walk along this coastal path. Gets a little bit rocky here, but that's okay. And over there we can see a few camper vans, people that don't pay for hotels, don't pay for accommodation. They have one of these vans and they just park them on the side of the road here on the coast and sleep the night. In Spanish they call that pernoctar. In some places it is illegal to do. I don't think it's permitted here unless there are signs up which tell you otherwise. For example, there are signs that say no motorhomes, but obviously where those vans are parked over there, that is not the case. So, as I said, what's happening in Spain and Portugal currently? Well, fires, as I mentioned, hot weather, same happening in both countries. Portugal has been affected by fires. Spain has been affected by fires. Spain has had a heat wave. Portugal has had a heat wave. Obviously, they share the same piece of land, the Iberian Peninsula, and those things are common in both countries. Unfortunately, that the rural areas, the bush areas, the forest areas burn in summer, strong winds. People sometimes set these fires deliberately for whatever reason, and of course the hot temperatures are characteristic in both countries, especially in the interior part of Portugal, not necessarily on the coast as I mentioned, because here the weather doesn't get too hot, but if you go inland 10, 15, 20 kilometers, 50 kilometers inland, the weather does get very, very hot, and that's where that fire risk exists, of course. And that's a nice way to spend your Saturday out there cruising the Atlantic Ocean in a nice boat. And the devastation from the fires, I think something like 220,000 hectares have been burnt in Spain. Various people have unfortunately lost their lives because of those fires, and also the amount of people that lost their lives because of the heat wave. In both countries, I think around 1,500 people, again unfortunately losing their lives because of the extreme temperatures. But again, what can we do? This seems to be becoming more and more common as the years go by. Hotter temperatures, fires all over the country, and wreaking havoc, unfortunately, in countries like Spain. And I also read in the press recently that one of the fires was caused by a reforestation company, a Dutch reforestation company. That's right. Reforestation, not deforestation, and apparently one of their soil excavators started a fire which, as I said, burnt thousands of hectares of bushland. And apparently this Dutch reforestation company is devastated by having started that fire, and deeply sorry for the damage that it caused. But it just goes to show how easy it is to start a fire with the conditions that Spain and Portugal have. Everything very, very dry, and of course the strong winds fanning those fires. But again, an accident that probably could have been avoided. Now, if you know anything about Portuguese football, you will know that there are 2, maybe 3 strong teams here in Portugal. Of course, you've got Benfica, which is based in Lisbon. You've got Sporting de Lisboa, or Sporting Club, which is also a Lisbon-based club. And then you've got a club in the north of Spain, in Porto, which is called FC Porto. And this area here is a Benfica area. Everywhere you go, you see the Benfica colours, the red and the white. But some smart person has decided to graffiti the FCP, Football Club Porto, all over this part of Portugal, and locals are not happy. Again, people being warned of the dangers of these falling rocks. Now, another story that is dominating the press in Spain at the moment is the fact that Spain and Portugal, again, both countries, have decided to stand up to the European Union on proposed gas cuts. I think the European Union wants to reduce the use of gas by 15%, and Spain and Portugal don't want that to happen. Spain is arguing that they weren't told of these proposed changes. The European Union says that is not the case, that everybody knew what was on the table, but Spain is using that as its main argument for not accepting this deal. And of course, as we know, Spain sees itself as the European saviour this winter, by taking that gas that it gets from Algeria and passing it on to other European countries. So I don't know whether that idea is at risk or not. And of course, the accusation is from some of the European press outlets is that Spain needs to show more solidarity with its European partners. If that's what Europe wants to do, Spain and Portugal should toe the line. I don't know. What do you think? Should all European countries toe the line on these issues? So we'll see how this situation pans out, whether or not Spain and Portugal get their way, or whether they cave in to the other European countries, which I imagine will happen unless they reach some type of agreement. Because as we know, Spain has received a lot of money from the European Union lately, and I don't think they'd like it if they don't toe the line on this issue. Now, as we know, this is the the first summer post-pandemic, and it's going to be interesting to see if tourism numbers in Portugal get up to what they were in 2019. From what I've seen, there are lots of foreigners around, myself included of course, but there's lots of people from Germany, lots of French, lots of people from the Netherlands here as well. A lot of people have come down for the surf culture that this part of Portugal offers. There's lots of surf camps where people come down and learn how to surf. In fact, the beaches are extremely busy with this type of tourism, and it's been a big tourism boom for this part of Portugal and other parts as well. As I said, people from northern European countries coming down, escaping those cooler climates, enjoying the food and wine and other drinks in this part of the world, and learning to surf at the same time. Very, very popular activity. The only problem that I see with learning to surf here, given my years of surfing experience, is that the waves are pretty heavy and not the best waves to learn in my opinion. They're a little bit too big, especially the last few days. Very big swells hitting the coast, so not easy to learn how to surf in those conditions. Now there's a seagull up there sitting on top of that pole with some of the best views in the house. Let's go and see the views that the seagull has. Yes, absolutely magnificent views. You enjoying the walk, Mia? Enjoying the walk? And there's another example of a motorhome taking advantage of this magnificent scenery. Now, of course, when I come to Portugal, I have to change my language skills, move from Spanish, Espanol, to Portuguese, Portuguese, and everybody knows I don't speak Portuguese all that well, but I must say that it has improved, or my language skills in Portuguese have improved over the last 6 months or so. I have been studying a little bit of Portuguese, listening quite a lot to the Portuguese radio, watching Portuguese television programs, trying to improve my Portuguese, and I'm happy because I can see the results of that hard work. And Portuguese and Spanish, although they read similar, they're quite similar languages when you read them. When you speak them, completely different because of all of the different vowel sounds that Portuguese has. And that is what has been difficult for me over the years to get my head around, because even something as simple as the days of the week in Portuguese completely different to Spanish. In Spain you would say lunes, Monday, martes, miércoles, jueves, viernes, sábado y domingo. In Portugal, segunda-feira, Monday, terça-feira, quarta-feira, quinta-feira, sexta-feira, sábado y domingo. So only sábado, Saturday, and domingo, Sunday are the same. Curious fact. And as I said, until you get your head around the pronunciation of Portuguese, it's going to be an absolute nightmare, or at least it has been for me over the years. And the last thing that has caught my attention in the news, and this was brought to my attention by somebody in the comment section, talking about a restaurant in Spain that has started charging every time the waiter goes to your table. I think the fee was 20 cents per visit. So for example, every time you stick your hand up and call the waiter, 20-cent fee. They were also charging for cutlery, a €1 fee for cutlery, and people are being warned about these abusive practices because they're not legal, I don't think. But this restaurant, which was in the province of Zamora, in a place called Benavente, deciding that it was a good idea to start charging people for these things. And the bill from that restaurant has gone viral and has made various press outlets and people calling out this terrible behavior from the restaurant owner, who has also been forced to defend himself. So if you're in Spain and you see some strange charges on your bill, be careful, because they might be trying to make up for the last 2 lost years of COVID by taking it out on unsuspecting clients. Now I'll start to wrap this video up, my first video from Portugal. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. Let us know what you find difficult to learn about Portuguese or Spanish. Let us know in that comment section. And if you have been ripped off at a restaurant or a bar in either Spain or Portugal, give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego. Hasta luego.